All right, guys, so note 16.4 about arc length and area of sectors. We've talked about arcs, but we've never actually measured them, okay? We're actually going to get number lengths for these arcs. And really, the length of an arc is just a piece of a circumference, and that's what this equation is. So to find arc length, we're going to take the angle, or the central angle, and divide it by 360, and multiply it by 2 pi r, the circumference formula. So we're just finding a percentage of the circumference. So if I look over here, the reason I use the central angle is the central angle gives us the arc length as far as degrees go. So I know that of the 360 degrees, I'm using 120. So if I want to find the actual length, the arc length, I take that angle, 120, and divide it by 360. Then I multiply it by 2 pi times the radius. On this one, it says a 6. Now, you don't necessarily have to do this next step. I do it just because I like to simplify my fractions. That's really 12 over 36, which is 1/3 times 2 times 6 is 12 pi. You can help yourself with the use of your calculator. 1/3 of 12 gives me 4 pi units. So that length is actually just 4 pi units long. Let's look at the next one. Same sort of thing. This time it doesn't directly give us the angle, but they tell us this is 300 degrees. They want to know the length from L to M. Well, I know that if the rest is 300, that what's left inside must be 60 degrees. So now I have my X. So 60 over 360 this time, because I'm using 60 degrees of my 360, times 2 pi times R. So I'm going to simplify again and again. You don't necessarily have to. That's 1/6 times 6 pi. A sixth of 6 is 1. So I got pi units. So again, simplifying the fractions up to you, but these are really straightforward. Just remember, with arc length, you're using the circumference formula, because now we're going to find areas of the sector. This is like finding the area of a slice of pizza. It's sort of like a triangle, but it has that curved part. The way to find it's very similar to the last one. To find the area of a sector, you take your x, your central angle, over 360, but this time, instead of circumference, use the area formula. So it's basically the same thing. So I'm going to take my angle, 120 over 360. I'm going to multiply it by pi times r squared. So I'm going to simplify a little bit. I get 1/3 times 36 pi. Oops, I wrote 3 pi. 36 pi. And 1/3 of 36 is going to give me 12 pi. But guys, this is units squared because it's the area of a sector. Go to the next one. You might try this one out real quick. Yeah, it's nothing too complex. Same thing we just did. See, this time they give us the arc degrees, but that tells us that our angle is 20 degrees. So 20 over 360 times pi times r squared. Be really careful. The length of the arc is the circumference. The area of the sector is the area. So I can simplify that. It's really not a good simplification. It ends up being 1/18 times 9 pi. If you do that, you could say 9 pi over 18, or 1/2 pi units squared. Okay. These are the same things, just going to make you find them both. This one's not going to work out so nice, so it's nice that we look at it. And it gave us the arc, this major arc here, and that's not what we needed. We needed the other one. Well, I know 360 minus 210 is 150 degrees. So I've got my X. Let's find the length. I'm going to go ahead and write them both out, actually. 150 over 360 times 2 pi. Looks like our radius is 5. That's for the arc length. Same thing for the area, 150 over 360 times pi, this time r squared. So I can just work both these out. Now, these are actually going to be pretty nasty fractions, and I'm going to put them in fractions, but I'll end up giving you decimals just because I think that's easier. Let's see, if you simplify this thing down, looks like you get 5/12. See, that's not very pretty, times 10 pi. The 10 times 5 would give me 50 pi over 12. And then I could take a 2 out of both and get 25 pi over 6, which is a good way to do it because that is the exact answer. I went ahead and rounded a little bit, and I got 4.167, and I left pi units. So I just put the 25 over 6. The other one's going to work sort of the same. It's also going to be 5/12. 5 squared gives us 25 pi. 5 times 25 would give me 125 pi over 12. And then I went ahead and put this in the calculator. Excuse me, guys. And I got 10.4167 pi units squared. And guys, you could put all this in the calculator on a problem like this, but if it does say exact, it does want you to leave it in the fractions. So same basic thing, just a little bit tougher on the fraction part. This one's working backwards. They've given us the length of this arc. They want us to find the actual measure of this angle, which means we're going to have to work it backwards. So normally I'd have the angle over 360, but I don't know what it is. I do know the radius, and we're talking about arc length, so times 2 pi times 16. The problem is this time we don't know x. We know that this is 8 pi. So we're going to have to do a little bit of work here, and these are what you'll usually have the most trouble with, so really pay attention here because they're not that bad. I'm going to go ahead and just keep my x over 360. Not a whole lot I can do there, but I can go ahead and do my 32 pi. And then, of course, I have 8 pi on the other side. Now, you can do this a couple of different ways. I mean, this is all multiplication, guys, so dividing by something's totally fine. And really, we're dividing the whole side over here by 32 pi, and we can divide this by 32 pi. The pi's finally cancel out, which is really what we want. And 8 over 32 is really 1/4 equals x over 360. And now from here, it's really not that tough. I would cross multiply. Looks like we got 4x equals 360. And when I divide both sides by 4, I get x, which is 90 degrees. So that's really where we have trouble. I can see where this could come up. If we have any questions on that, please ask me tomorrow in class. Let's look at this last one here. Excuse me, guys. Sort of the same thing, but now it's giving us the area of the sector is 432 pi. So that's going to equal, let's see, wants us to find the radius in the end. They told me the angle is 120. And then its area, so pi times r squared. R is what we're looking for this time. So we can simplify this pretty easy. I'm going to go ahead and put that as 1/3. 432 pi equals 1/3 pi r squared. I'm going to multiply both sides, excuse me, by 3 so I can get rid of the fraction. Let's see, that's 1296 pi equals pi r squared. And you could have done this in less steps. I'm going to divide by pi. So r squared equals this 1296. And the square root of 1296 is 36. And it looks like it's going to be feet. So guys, those are pretty tough ones, these last two. If y'all have any questions on those, we can definitely do those again in class. There will be a couple like that on your homework. So if you need help, let me know, and good luck.